What is up, everybody? How are we doing? We're back with another episode of Commercial Roofing Radio. We got a fantastic guest, and this whole podcasting thing, me and him did this already about 200 times together. Randy Brothers in the house. What is up, my man? How
What's
we doing?
up, bro? I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
I missed the whole we are live because we're not live. You like stepped your game up. You stepped your game up to
the live
recording.
was great. The live was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
A lot of work though.
Yeah.
A lot of work. You know, it's tough. You know, it's like you got to do it consistently in the same time every time. You got the tech issues. You know how it goes, but it was worth it for sure, I think, in the beginning, though, because we got so much engagement out of it.
Yeah.
You know, people were commenting, and if you look at it, the people that were commenting and staying engaged with us, those are the people that we ended up working together with.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure. But I think there's something to be said about we're kind of doing both now with that.
So you're in a mix.
So
now.
yeah. We're
Okay.
starting when we get the opportunity to do this, we'll record one and get good content there.
Yeah.
And then intermittently we'll do it. But the thing is, we still show the episode at the same time. We release the episode at the same time every week. Sometimes it's live, sometimes it's pre-recorded.
Gotcha.
But
All right.
Consistency, right?
Consistency is all that really matters.
Yeah,
Just like anything, right? It doesn't matter what goal you're chasing. Consistency.
In life, everything, man.
Everything, right?
Consistency.
What's the best ability? Availability.
Availability, right? Yeah.
Like our boy Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, every single year you knew he was going to show up and you knew he was going to play every single game.
Yeah.
Think about that. Think about an employee or a leader of a company that has that attitude.
Yeah. Well, I love that
know?
too. I mean, I think as a leader, as an entrepreneur, like you've got to show up. Like first and foremost, show up each and every day. The same person. You know, you're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have emotional challenges. But if you can just show up and be consistent and be a leader, be vulnerable, and learn and grow and show that and show up every day, you can get a team around you that are willing to show up with you, right? If you can't show up and be committed each and every day with your team, you know, and I'm not talking just like physically being there. It's like knowing that you're there and you're committed to the growth of the company, to the success of the people involved in the company. That's what I mean by showing up, right? Being there on all facets, physically, emotionally, engaged, and know that you have their back, right?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You got to show up, right? And especially like when times are tough too. Right, I think that's if you're in entrepreneurship and you plan on making this your career for, you know, your whole career, I guess, you're gonna have ups and downs, just like any other career, right? If you think about it as an entrepreneur, every career is gonna be ups and downs, right? You know, we just have different challenges. And how do you feel about? I mean, think about it. From all your experiences, you had plenty of challenges. How do you feel about those challenging moments? When you think about those moments where you're like, oh shit, almost as an entrepreneur, you know, what have you learned in those moments?
So what I've learned about like the challenges of entrepreneurship is like, I've actually almost conditioned myself to look for the next challenge instead of worrying about the next achievement or whatever. Good. It's like, what is the next challenge? What's the next problem that I can go out and solve? And it's kind of a weird dynamic as being an entrepreneur my whole career for nearly 20 years. You know, early on, I think a lot of young entrepreneurs, you know, they hit these roadblocks and these challenges, and they like, don't know how to react, and it can take you out for months on end, emotionally and spiritually, physically, and it can really
feel it sometimes,
it can totally
right? Like
derail
you get so bad, you feel it mentally, you feel it in your body, the stress, you feel it in your body.
Yeah, there's certain times where it's like you're losing sleep, you literally like the anxiety just like drives you nuts, and that stuff you just learn to cope with it. But I think where
does that come from, though? And anxiety is more of having to take care of everybody, I feel like. At least for me, it's like a worry to make sure that you don't mess up because people are counting on you.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wear that a lot of, you know, I own the responsibility that I have for other people's well-being.
Yeah.
And, you know, the decisions that I make as a business owner, as a leader every day, affect a lot of other people. And I own that. Like, so if I'm fearful of, making a bad decision or not supporting somebody how they need to be supported, or if somebody's going to leave or something happens in the organization, like, yeah, I get a lot of anxiety around that. It's tough.
And it's almost too sometimes like, you wake up with like some kind of almost worry or fear every morning, right? At least a little bit as an entrepreneur, I feel like, where you're like, hey, all right, I can't, I gotta show up, I gotta keep hitting, you know what I mean? And it can definitely be a lot of pressure. But what's interesting is like, I feel like the low moments usually come where I kind of lose my focus a little bit, right? Where maybe I'm not as hyper focused as I should be, and maybe, I could be doing stuff, but it's really not the right stuff. And then all of a sudden it kind of hones you in, and all of a sudden you're able to level up.
I feel like if you do that, and it's natural, we're all going to have our ups and downs and lose and gain focus. But if you lose focus, you can kind of create your own lows.
Oh yeah.
Right? So you got to be careful.
Right.
Like,
which is usually what
if you get distracted, and it's like that's why I said earlier, it's about like looking for the next challenge. Because if things are going nice and smooth, you're like, all right, cool, take a little break, maybe it's a long weekend, maybe enjoy myself, but don't rest on your laurels, because the next challenge is coming. And I would rather like try to search and almost anticipate that challenge versus getting super comfortable and almost creating the next challenge. But what I was saying a minute ago about, where I've gotten to within my career as an entrepreneur is like, if I'm not challenged, I'm uncomfortable. Like I've almost learned to embrace the challenges, like embrace it, like look for the next challenge, because I grow way more. I think we all do, right? We grow way more during the challenges and overcoming problems and solving issues than when things are just cruising, when they're on cruise control. So, it's kind of a joke around the office, but like my job is to break things.
Yeah, exactly.
My job is to create problems, to find what's wrong, to then come up with a solution to figure that out. So for a young entrepreneur, it's like a rite of passage. You get blindsided and you get challenged and you get anxiety and all the emotional challenges that come with the lows of being an entrepreneur. But eventually, me personally, that turns.
Yeah.
And then you look forward to it, because I know that every time I have a major obstacle I got to solve and a major thing I got to overcome, I'm going to come out on the other side way better than I was going into it. And the more you can do that, the faster you can accelerate your growth in your experience and your knowledge as a business owner. And that's what it's all about, knowledge and experience. You can't just show up one day, hey, I own a business, and have all the knowledge that you gain over 20 years, right?
I mean, think about it. If you just start a business, I mean, how do you know how to set up your books, right?
Yeah.
How do you know how to set up a CRM system? How do you know how to hire somebody? How do you know how to put, responsibilities under a job role? How do you know any of that
Why
stuff,
do you think knowledge has become such a commodity? Because I know like, you're a younger entrepreneur in the game, and you've been able to accelerate your career because you started a business in a time and age where you can just like learn here, go online, figure this out, and like gain knowledge at an exponential rate, versus my grandfather who had to work for 40 years doing the same thing to learn what he learned by the time he's retired and by the time he went on to heaven, right? Nowadays, like, knowledge has become the commodity.
Yeah.
So
agree.
like with what we do with coaching and training and sharing, it's like I'm constantly learning and taking in as much knowledge as I can, but I'm also reciprocating that and sharing it as much as I can as well.
Yeah.
And I think, that's why being an entrepreneur is so awesome in this world that we live in, because you can gain knowledge exponentially. You can gain experience exponentially because of digital platforms and influencers and social media and YouTube and podcasts like this, and listening and learning from others.
There's no reason not to be successful now at this point, right? Not necessarily successful, but to at least give it your best shot. Because if you're resourceful, the amount of resources just online is unlimited. Right? Like, think about it. We were just talking about, this app that we're working on.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about app development 10 days ago. Now I am deep into this app development, right? Because of the tools. There's tools out there that simplify the process for someone like me, right? But it took research and looking stuff online to figure out what was the right tool and everything like that, right? And so I think when I first started, I was in a situation where I had no other option but to figure it out, right?
Yep.
Burn the ships, right? You want to
Yep.
take the island, burn the ships.
Yep.
So I would spend all day just learning and stuff on the internet about building a business or whatever we're trying to do. All of a sudden, you keep doing that, you start to learn faster,
Yeah.
right? Because now all of a sudden you start to understand the process of how to consume the information and then implement it as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Learn and implement, right? That's the key. Some people learn, but they never implement. So if you take that knowledge, you got to make sure you're implementing that, right?
Yeah.
As quickly as you can to see what that's like. I was talking to somebody, I was like, man, I wish I had a business when I went to business school. I would have looked at all the material different.
Yeah, right. Business school should be like, okay, start a business.
Yeah, right.
That's where you learn it all.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, okay?
Yeah.
In this day and age, you can get all the knowledge, you can get all the education, you can surround yourself with influencers, you can get all the pieces. Mm-hmm. But what you can't teach is the hustle. Mm-hmm. You can't teach somebody to have that internal fire to wake up every single day to want to make things happen, to want to implement the things they're learning. Mm-hmm. You know, so many people just consume and consume and consume and consume, but they actually don't do anything.
Right.
Right? So there's a whole element that we're missing here is you just got to dive in. Mm-hmm. Burn the ships, jump off the bridge and start building your wings. And that's probably some of the best entrepreneurial advice that I ever got was you just got to dive in. Mm-hmm. You just got to go and try because you're never going to have it all figured out before you implement or before you execute something. You got to just take action.
100%. And that goes to, hey, you're gonna make a lot of mistakes. And if you can get your ego out of the way and not worry about quote unquote failing, which I'm not really sure what that even means necessarily, you're gonna figure out. You keep swinging, you're gonna figure out. It's almost a guarantee. If you're smart about it, eventually you're gonna figure it out. So I got another question for you as an entrepreneur. You've been doing this for a long time. It can be a grind, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it just feels like it's the same grind, every day. And some days it's easier to get up than others, right? And some weeks it's easier than others. Some months sometimes, right? And you can tell when it's easier than the other days. How do you make sure you're always having fun and enjoying this thing and making sure you remember, hey, I want to have a happy career as well.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing I've had to kind of learn over the years. Because it's, I have a habit of getting into the grind and I'm working on a project or implementing or creating new business or doing something, and that consumes my mind. I think a lot of us do this. It consumes you, and it's all you think about. It's all you want to do. You have to be very intentional. We use the word balance, but does it really exist in our world? Maybe not. But there's some things that you can do to maintain a little bit of balance or a little bit of symmetry in your life, right? Mm-hmm. Your life is not just business, right? You got family, you got business, you got social, you got, activities and things you like to do personally, things you can do personally. So I actually created this thing that I call the personal balance sheet.
Okay.
We always talk about the business balance sheet, but I actually created the personal balance sheet.
I like that.
And there's 5 elements on there, and you got mind, you got body, you got spirit, you got family, and then business. And I put business at the end. And what it is like an activity, and we're actually going to be releasing like a journal where you can buy the journal and it has all this and some activities in there to kind of track this on a regular basis. But right now we're just doing it on a spreadsheet and just on my notebook. Literally, I did this last night. At the beginning of the week, I check in with myself. How am I doing mentally? Give myself a rating, 1 to 10. How am I doing mentally? Write a few words to describe how you're feeling mentally, and do like what we call like a tweet or like a statement of, this is why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. The next step is to give yourself a goal. Okay, if I'm feeling not great mentally, I'm feeling distracted, I'm not sharp, I'm not engaged, or something is distracting me, give myself a goal to help me move that needle. Do this weekly, monthly, daily, and
that solves that issue basically.
And it helps you just put into context moving the needle in the right direction. Because the thing is, you're always going to be up and down. So if you got mind, body, spirit, family, and business, there's 5 elements there. And if you're giving yourself a rating on all of them, you're never going to have all 10s. Or you're lying to yourself. But you're never also going to have all 1s, right? So there's always going to be a little fluctuation there. So you do the same exercise with all 5. Mentally, how are you doing? Physically, spiritually, emotionally, how are you doing? Yeah. For me, it involves a lot of like prayer and meditation and stuff like that, and reading books, and that's kind of how I nurture my spiritual self, right? And then you go into family. You know, how's your family relationships? Direct family, kids, wife, external family relationships, and then you focus on business. Same thing. All 5 of those elements, you rank yourself how you're doing, give yourself some descriptive feeling words, and then set a goal to get better. Yeah. And just do this as an exercise each week. That's how I have found to try to find that balance. And it helps you reflect and identify the areas of life that aren't going so well, that might be a little bit challenged at any given time. You know, that's the personal balance sheet.
And then what does that balance sheet do for you as a business leader, would you say? Let's say, you know, you do that, you know, every week for the month, right? Versus you just didn't do it at all. What kind of impact does that have on the business, would you say?
I think it has an impact on all facets.
Facets, right?
Because like, you know, if you're really strong somewhere and you're really weak somewhere, you're like, it exposes where that weakness is, and you put a little effort over there to try to get that balance, right? But, you know, we all know that if you're not doing great on a personal level, or something's bringing you down personally, or going through, you know, some big life change or life event, it's going to affect your business, and vice versa. You know, if your business is really challenged or really struggling, or you're having some major, you know, hiccups that you're trying to solve, problems that you're trying to solve, it's going to affect your personal life as well. So it's just the act of taking time to be intentional, to do this and reflect on these things personally, can really just, it helps move the needle. Like it always helps you put things in perspective and keep moving the ball forward. You know, that's what it's all about.
I was trying to think of, someone asked me, you know, what is success, right? How do you define success? And I pondered it for a while. I was like, man, you know, what is success? And I think it can be different for everybody, but I was like, you know, for me, how would I look at success would be like being able to wake up every morning, like excited for the day.
Yeah.
For whatever I'm taking on, or whatever opportunities I get to chase after. What do you think? What do you think success is?
Well, I don't think there is a specific design, because I think success can be interpreted many different ways, but it's the individual. You know, what I feel like is success to what someone else feels like is success can be totally different.
It's an opinion.
Right? It's your own personal opinion. But the end of it is like, if you're happy, if you're content, if your cup is full, you're successful. It doesn't have to be about money, other people, or, you know, property, prestige, power, ego, any of that crap.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the day you start your business and you show up on Monday with an excitement that you've never had before, you're already successful in my mind. And that success should compound and grow over time, right? People, you're so successful. I'm like, so are you. Doesn't matter. We just have different levels or different experience levels. I've just been doing this a lot longer than a lot of people. Doesn't mean I'm any more or less successful. It's a perception thing, I think.
It's 100% a perception thing. I was watching a video. It was this young YouTuber. He's got millions and millions of subscribers. He's got cash flowing in. He's like, you know, it's interesting. He's like my age, right? He's like maybe 30. He's like, you know, I could do all this crazy stuff, right? Like all these events, travel. I make content for a living. Like that's my career. So it's his own business. He's like, but man, sometimes after having all this, I forget how to have joy in like the little things. I see these people walking their dog and getting so pumped about it after work, and I'm at like the Grammys and I'm not getting excited about it. Yeah. You know, so that goes back to that perspectives. And sometimes when you get more, all you want is more. Yeah. So you gotta enjoy that ride. They always talk about that, but there's no magical moment, right? There's no mountaintop. Yeah.
Well, that brings up I've talked about this a lot lately, but I was recommended a couple months ago a book called The Gap in the Gain. You know, it's written by I think Dan Sullivan as well as Dr. Hardy, Benjamin Hardy, I believe, and game changer because it's all about that perspective. Okay, especially with entrepreneurs, we're always so focused on what's next. What you hit a goal, you don't even take a time to enjoy that goal. You're like, what's next? And it's that mindset. You just keep doing that over and over and over. And you're always worried about what you don't have and what's next, that you never actually take time to really enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. So the concept of the book is all about reflecting backwards first. Instead of worrying about what you don't have in life, look where you came from. And reflect on where you've been to get to where you are now, to have a greater appreciation of here and now. Right? I mean, there's a saying too of be where your shoes are. Like be here, right now. Enjoy the success of you and I hanging out, doing a podcast. I can worry about tomorrow. Yeah. Today, just what can I do today? I have a list of things to try to do today. I have a list of people to impact and things I got to do and discussions I need to have, decisions I got to make. Get those done. Take a moment to reflect on them and start again tomorrow, right?
When you're too worried about that next meeting, you're not fully engaged and intentional in the meeting you're currently in.
Yeah.
And you know that. You know when you're like in a meeting, you're like, this meeting's not that important. I got the big one next. And you're like, or I just got done with the big one. Like, I'm tired, right? Be fully engaged in each one of those, and I guarantee it's gonna have a gigantic impact on your organization. And we talked about the challenges. Thing is everyone in your organization is also going through challenges. So doing things like the one-on-ones or whatever it might be, where you really understand, who they are as a person, what their challenges are, what their goals are. That's a big one. And you mentioned reflection. All right, so for those who might not know, right? Obviously, we did like 200 episodes together with Start Build Grow Show. We worked together for I think 4 or 5 years. We went with Roofing Academy, Suma Media, the podcast. We did conferences, the whole thing. All right, let's do that. Instead of looking forward and always worrying about that, what do you think? I mean, what did we accomplish in those 4 years? Think about it. Grew 2 companies, right? Grew a podcast, right?
Well, we literally started 2 businesses from scratch. From conception to, becoming, well known, if not like, one of the most, like, I know from the Roofing Academy side of things, like I got a full staff now, a full team of people out there every day working hard to make things happen and serving, teaching, leading, inspiring an entire industry based on an idea that was like, hey, I want to find a way to give back to my industry that I love so much. We found, some really nice success building a roofing company. Yeah. And the idea and the opportunity was there to then take that education, take what I learned, and then help others. That's what it was all about. And looking back, it's easy to be like, well, how many clients do we not have? And we're not growing at this rate or this, that, the other. But no, I'm very grateful for every single client we've had, past, present, future, and the impact we've been able to have. And we talk about that a lot. Like, we do a lot of travel and speaking and these sort of things. And, every time before I go on stage, it's like the power of one. If one person can learn something and take something away from what I'm sharing today that's going to help impact their life in a positive way, that's a win. If one person watches this episode, this podcast, and takes something that you and I discuss or share, and it helps impact them or their business or their life in a positive way, this was a huge win. This was well worth the time that it took to drive here, to set up the cameras, to do all the things. It's still a win, right? I think you got to get down to a micro level and just really look back every day, like celebrate the little wins, right? Base hits win ball games. I say that all the time.
Celebrate the little wins. I couldn't agree more on that. And, you can't live in fear and gratitude at the same time. So if you're constantly, thankful for what you have right now, what you've had in the past, right, the wins that you've had, the good moments, whatever it might be, it's really gonna be hard to be fearful of the future, right? You just gotta latch onto that. People can feel it's almost like an aura too. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you want to be happy? Hang around happy people, right? And so if you're that person that's always like that positive energy in the room, people are excited. They're like, oh, hey, blah, blah, it's coming. Be that in your company too, right?
Yeah. It's funny. I talk about that a lot lately. Roofing's challenging. It's tough to have just positive energy all the time. There's so many different challenges that you get, from sales to production to all the things. There's a lot of nuances. It gets challenging. And, I really focus. And another thing from that book, The Gap in the Game, the big lesson is bookend your day with positivity. Okay, what I mean by that is every morning, start your day with 3 wins. 3 things you're grateful for. Every night before you go to bed, end your day on 3 wins for the day, 3 things that you're grateful for.
I like that.
And don't worry about the negative crap. Like, focus on the positives. And that's a way to condition yourself to be just a more positive person in general.
So instead of saying, damn it, all right, I didn't get the production report done, and I forgot to send over that proposal I promised to somebody. It's, hey, man, I made 10 different cold calls. I got 3 proposals out, and the projects that we have that are open right now are going really well.
Yeah. Well, and more importantly is, like, I'm looking at my calendar. I'm like, I probably won't get everything done today that I want to get done, but I'm going to end my day being very grateful that I got to take my kid to his first day of 2nd grade this morning. Could I have been sitting there in front of my email working, following up? Yeah, I probably should have. The work will be there tomorrow. It'll be there today. It'll be there in no time. But, like, I only get to experience first day of 2nd grade one time with my son. That's my takeaway. That's the win for the day. You know what I mean? Like, different perspective.
And also, it's like, hey, you give yourself 3 days to clean your room. It's going to take you 3 days. If you give yourself 3 hours, you're going to do it in 3 hours. So if you need to figure out a way to prioritize different areas of your life and squeeze them in, you're probably going to end up just somehow being more productive.
Yeah.
Don't know how, but it's just how it works.
I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Like, give yourself a limit on how many hours you're going to work each day.
Yeah.
Or how many hours you're going to work each week. Say, I'm only going to work this many hours. If you say that in the beginning of your week, mentally you're going to prioritize things to where you know that you're going to get more things done. You're going to be more efficient when you know you're working less. It's funny. Like, if you ask somebody, what is the most, productive day of the year for any individual? The day before they go on vacation. Think about that.
I bet.
If you're going on vacation and you're getting ready to take a week off or a few days off, like, how many things are you prioritizing and executing on the day before or the week before or a couple days leading up to that vacation?
Yeah.
Like, why can't we work like that all the time?
Oh yeah. And I'll notice this too. Our employees are dialed in, right? Super hardworking. And what's crazy is I'll notice sometimes it's like when they have even more stuff on their plate, they're even getting like a higher level of production. It's because they like zone in, and it's pretty cool to see just the way that people can kind of perform that way. It's pretty awesome. Now, I wanted to talk to you more about, all right, obviously, Denver's a hard market, no hail here. I mean, people have to get creative nowadays out here in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
What have you learned? I mean, how much have you grown through this? I mean, what do you think about the market? Let's just hear what you got to say.
Well, not necessarily this market specifically. I think this is just something you got to understand as an entrepreneur no matter what.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the market around you. There's always opportunities. There's always an opportunity. If we're just so focused on the one thing that got us to where we are, we're going to stay where we are.
Yep.
But if we're looking for other things to increase our capacity and increase, our opportunity level, let's do it. Yeah. So this market specifically, and with clients, we don't just work with hail clients. We work with the contractors all over the country that do all different things. We got people that just do metal and just do commercial or just do retail or just do solar. And all those things, look at your market, look where the opportunities are, find where the holes are, find where the underserved area within your space is, and rebrand and reallocate energy towards becoming that particular company that solves that problem or fills that niche or,
what kind of niches are there, though, do you feel like, in roofing? Is it like a certain type of material, a different process? Is it
all the above? There can be specific materials that you can niche yourself. I mean, if you want to just be a tile contractor or just be a wood shake replacement company or just do service or position yourself to do those things, you can do a bunch of ancillary things as well. But find that niche that's underserved and build your brand around that. You'll get other work as well, but you'll be able to differentiate yourself from a branding and marketing perspective. So solar, commercial, service, retail, specialty roofing. Do you want to do new construction? Do you want to do only re-roofs? Like, there's a number of different ways to position your business, And I think you got to pick one that's underserved in your market and go all in and become that company. And that'll help you, become more sustainable in a market that's very volatile, such as any sort of hail market that you don't know if you're going to get hail each year. If you get hail, great. Make it happen. Do what you got to do. Get that low-hanging fruit. But when you're not getting hail, you still got a business to build.
Yeah.
We're still business owners. We're still entrepreneurs. We have to own that.
Yeah.
We have to own that. And it's a different perspective than just being reactionary.
Yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of people make the mistake of they get into the business because there's so many hailstorms and they just react. Hailstorm happens, I'm going to react and throw people out there and capitalize and make the most of it. We need to be proactive. Okay. It's my responsibility as the visionary of the company to be anticipating 1, 2, 3, 4 years out on what's the market going to be like. What if we don't get hail? What is the environmental impact going to have? What is government going to do to kind of impact our industry? What about regulations? Like, that's when you get to a different level as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, is when you actually get to go to 30,000 feet and start looking at things from a much wider lens. It'll change the game. And that's how you position yourself to be successful and to be sustainable in any market.
Amen to that. And you only can learn that through experience. I'll tell you that, right? I mean, the way you're looking at the market, the way you're analyzing it, your perspective, I bet, just changes. The way you look at the future changes. How you're strategically planning for the future changes, right? Which makes him even more valuable. So make sure you hit him up for Roofing Academy. So for those who don't know, obviously, Randy is the founder of the Roofing Academy. And when you're looking at his knowledge, what he's learned in his time as an entrepreneur in this space specifically, he has the systems, the processes, the solutions to the problems you're probably facing right now because he's already been there and done that. So he's taken his experience. He's already been in that situation, and he's helping you just figure out that solution and letting you run with it from there. So as long as you're able to implement that, it's going to be a no-brainer. So if you want to get in touch with Randy, theroofingacademy.com, right? Is that the best way?
Theroofingacademy.com. We're on all the grams and the books and the YouTubes and all the things, but you can find us there as well. But roofingacademy.com, you can book a call directly with me. That's what I do is try to mentor and serve my industry and help other entrepreneurs, raise their game to that next level.
Absolutely. It's a no-brainer. Make sure you guys are doing it. But all right, now, when we first met, you were mostly residential insurance work. Since then, you've changed a lot. You've added commercial, right? And you've been a big part of developing that. You added solar, and that's super, super exciting, especially like a market in Colorado. How have you liked developing the commercial side? Because that's been kind of your core focus, right?
It's been great, and it goes back to my previous statement of, and I'm not like some guru. I just learn these things. I read. I have mentors. I surround myself with people that can pour into me that I can learn from. And one of the things I picked up is like, okay, I got to be 2-3 steps ahead of everybody else. So while we were in the middle of doing a bunch of residential storm work, that's when I started the commercial division. Thinking, okay, there's going to be a day that this market's going to change. There's going to be a day that we're not going to get a ton of hail. And then I also, as I'm researching and finding commercial mentors and people in the space, a lot of people you've had on here that I'm very close with, trying to learn the process of building a commercial department. It's not, what I did learn, it's not something you do overnight. It's a long process. You're playing the long game when you're playing commercial.
Hear that? Long game. Just remember that.
It's been 4 years, 4 or 5. I mean, I used to do all the commercial, like 1 or 2, 3 projects a year, 8, 10 years ago. And then
if it came in,
we get it. But then we wanted to be intentional, and we allocated a budget, hired people, put people on salary, bought the trucks, and changed the marketing, branding, the messaging on our websites, and started building the relationships that eventually nurtured into residual work. You don't just walk into one person's office and say, I'm a commercial roofer, send me your next $500,000 job. That doesn't happen. That's years of relationship building and hitting those little base hits. The $2,000 repair that you can show up the next day and get that done for them. Like, that's how you build a commercial.
How was that?
team.
Because, everyone says you got to do that. But, like, did you just commit to that? Hey, we're going to show up. We're going to do the service. We're going to do the solution, whatever they need. we're going to execute it, they're going to love us, and we're going to grow this book of business, basically? Or was it like...
I wish it was that easy,
yeah,
but
right.
it was
right?
service.
Yeah.
I learned that really early, actually.
Yeah.
We had a service technician. Yeah. Probably the third person I ever hired in my company was a service technician.
Oh, is it really? I didn't know that.
We've been doing repairs since early on.
Residential, like repairs?
Residential, and then some flats and some coating work and stuff. And then eventually, now we got a whole team, service trucks out every day doing repairs all over the place. And
that's great.
Residential, commercial, all the things. And that service department is actually like, the catalyst that drives business for the rest of the company.
That's the core, I bet, right? Yeah. Wow. So tell us a little bit about that. So you had that the third employee was a service tech.
I think so, yeah. Third, maybe fourth, yeah.
I feel like that's pretty good thinking pretty early on, because usually if we talk to somebody, if we're doing like commercial lead gen or whatever it might be, we talk about service. If they're newer, they're usually not super excited that I say that for the most part. Why were you, on the other hand, even on the residential side, thinking about service work?
Well, the way I looked at it is, one, I needed somebody in my business. I'm not a generational roofer. Like, I'm not going to get on a roof and tell you every little nuance on a roof. So knowing that, like, if I'm going to have a roofing company, I need somebody that I can trust that does have that expertise. If we get in a pinch, that was where we're coming. If we get in trouble or something happens or a warranty issue comes up, I need to have someone on my team that I can trust to go out there and solve that problem and take care of that customer.
You need knowledge that you
need your expert.
Knowledge.
You need your technician, your tactician, your carpenter, so to speak. As I wrote in the book, and that. So I apply that strategy early on. And the way I thought about it was, if they can do some repairs and warranty and run materials and help with production and maybe even be like a supervisor on job sites, they'll at least pay for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I started the process of thinking that way. And it's not like this huge world-beating add-on to the business, but again, pays for itself. There's good margin, but it's also like gives me comfort knowing that we can pretty much solve any roofing problem out there.
Oh yeah, I love it. And if you're talking about getting into commercial, you got to look at service. Now, you grinded it out. You put the time in on the commercial side. For those out there who maybe have roofing experience, and maybe they're dabbling, kind of like we were saying with you. Hey, they take some commercial work, and they're looking to kind of take it to the next level where they seriously have a commercial division. What are a few things that you're like, hey, make sure you look at it this way, or you have this mindset, or you implement this tool, whatever it might be, to make sure that they have a good foundation.
Well, I would say a lot of that has to do with what kind of budget you have and what kind of comfortability you have to spend money, because you are playing the long game. And now when the biggest expenses we have as a roofing company is our overhead. Yeah. Right? When you're building out a commercial department, you got production management and sales and all these things that you got to pay for. Trucks and all the things.
It's like building another company.
It is like building. Right? That's how we treated it. It was like a separate company that I was in charge of building. My partner ran the residential side, and we had a great other leadership team to run logistics and production and office and all that. But that's what it was all about. Is early on, and when I'm coaching somebody or working through them, depending on their hey, I want to get into commercial. Oftentimes, it's like you want to kind of walk before you run. And oftentimes you're going to make some mistakes. There's going to be some challenges. So instead of just dumping a ton of money into this, I think the owner needs to be in charge of it first and foremost. And the owner becomes the commercial salesperson.
Get your residential company to the point where you can
owner can start focusing energy on commercial and then start building pieces there. And then restart
another company, basically.
I look at it from a risk perspective. If I'm the owner and I'm going to go out and try to sell commercial deals, I got a little variance. If I make a mistake or something doesn't go right, like, I can handle it. It's not going to completely take out my company. But if I go out and hire 2, 3, 4 people at big salaries and just say, go figure it out, there's a lot of risk there. If something goes wrong, if I'm not paying attention to it, you can go wrong. So that's what I say is
understand the financials.
Got to know your numbers. You've got to know your numbers. 1,000%. Like, we didn't
maybe
talk
even
about
talk
that,
to your accountant or get some kind of consulting, right? On like, hey, what does it look like if I want to get into commercial? What should I kind of
put a budget together and put a plan together. That's what we do a lot too. It's like, okay,
something like that.
What the vision? Where do you want to take your company? I want to add commercial. Okay, let's break that down. Let's set goals. Let's reverse engineer like the financial side of what it's going to take to do that, and then figure out like what the market opportunity is. Do you have clients? Do you have some relationships that you can tap into to try to get this thing going? Or are you just starting from scratch and it's all cold calling? There's a lot of things that go into it, but the end of the day, you got to make a commitment and know that that's what you're going to do. Service is key, and the owner needs to be pretty heavily involved up front for sure.
What numbers do you look at regularly? Like what KPIs, what numbers do you log in Monday morning or whatever it is? You're like, all right, how are we looking this week?
There's a whole bunch of numbers, but really like what we call is Q1 and Q2. And what that is jobs that are in queue, especially on a commercial standpoint, because you're doing a lot of quoting and a lot of estimating, and jobs may come forth in 9 months and you bid now, right? So I'm looking at Q1 means signed and ready to go, coming up in the very near future. Q2 is basically your pipeline. Of course, we're looking at the revenue, the sold, the close rate, like a lot of things. But if I were to just narrow down a couple things to really, really focus on, is pipeline. I want to know I always have something in the pipeline that it's coming down the pipe, so to speak.
And you probably know your close rate too, but
and the close rate, that's harder with that when you got a huge pipeline. So I'm looking at pipeline and timelines, but the other piece is the timeline piece.
Yeah.
From a residential or commercial standpoint is, how fast am I turning money? Okay, when I got a project and I start incurring costs on that project, how long before I recognize a profit? Focus on that number and then focus on pipeline. Outside of all the accounting numbers that we got to pay attention to, but those are two probably underserved numbers that don't get talked about enough.
What about accounts receivable? I think you talked about it where you had a KPI where it's like, hey, it took us this long.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so talk about that. So what was your situation?
So
like,
the technical term is DSO, days sales outstanding.
Gotcha.
Or in like a retail world, you call it the cash conversion cycle. It's basically when I start incurring costs on a project until the time I recognize profit on a project. How long is that? And then you look at that and break that down into as many different perspectives and many different smaller timelines as possible and move the needle. Yeah. Shave a day here, shave an hour here, shave a day. Like if it's taking you 4 days to send out an invoice, do it in 24 hours. If it's taking you 3 days to make a phone call to follow up on something, do it the next day. Like if you could find ways to trim that down, makes a big impact on your business. And this is from a commercial and a residential and an insurance big time with insurance jobs.
So all right, so the other area we'll kind of talk about, and then we'll go into the little game that we have set up for you. We got Who Wants to Be a Roofing Millionaire?
Okay.
I haven't seen the questions, so some of them Danae made the questions. Danae, some of them I might run with, some I might make up on the run. We'll see here, because I really got to make sure we put them in the hot seat. You know what I mean?
All right.
Solar. All right. What do you think about the solar opportunity, implementing that into your business, the market, the future?
So much of it has to do with your market. Okay. Not every market is primed and ready for solar, but if your market is primed and ready for solar, it's a great opportunity. I mean, look at just, again, 30,000 feet, look at the world around us. Everything's going green. Everything's going energy efficient. Yeah. Every auto manufacturer is making electrical EV vehicles. The government is trying to really pass new laws and bills that are really encouraging and stimulating the economy as far as, encouraging people to go solar. So if all those things are coming to fruition, I got to be a part of that, right? So if you really look at it from that perspective, solar is a great opportunity, and it's going to continue to be a great opportunity for the next couple decades, I think.
That's the key. You got to be able to recognize trends and get in as quick as possible. We both met Gary Vee at that conference. Yep. It seems like he's always on top of the next trend, and then he jumps on it, right? You see that NFT thing got hot. He's making millions off the NFTs. He's way up in the rankings, right? All the social media, any kind of platform, right? He's talking about Instagram Reels. Also, when we started to use them, thousands of views we weren't getting before. He's always on top of that next trend, right? So no matter what area is in your business, if it's better technology, better ways of marketing, better way to improve the sales process, if you're always first, or that group of pioneers or innovators that are always trying, they might not all work, but the ones that do work are going to make you look that much better than your competition.
And guilty as charged, some of the social media stuff I'm behind on. It's just pick and choose how you allocate your time, and I'm like crap, I probably should have been doing reels a while ago, but here we are. We're talking about this. Like, we're going to chop this up and make reels out of it. Like, oh, cool. I probably should have done that a while. I should have been paying attention to Gary, but too busy building business.
But that's the thing. So that's why it's like, for me, I'm a grinder at heart. Always have been, always will be. That's like my thing. Like, that's my avatar, I guess, as an entrepreneur, right? I'm always hustling. The thing is, sometimes, if you're like me, you got to back off for a second. You got to slow it down. And you got to have those moments where you're shutting down all those thoughts and just kind of letting it flow.
Just reset, right? Personal time.
Yeah, personal time.
That's just like reflection time, meditation, like cars, right? I love driving, going for a nice long drive in the mountains, and that's where you just get to like reset. Turn the phone off, turn the music off, just drive. For me,
no, completely. Great. And then
every morning I try to meditate. Try some time where you're just sitting by yourself, just reflecting. I call it my thinking time. Like
the reset.
We don't intentionally just sit and think enough. I don't think, you know.
Well, so I worked this weekend, right? I usually don't work weekends ever. I worked this weekend, and I worked late last night. So I didn't come in until like right before you got here, like 10:30. Yeah. Because I was like, when I woke up, I didn't want to just rush to work again. I was like, hey, I want to be able to reset, right? And then make sure that I'm ready to produce again. Otherwise, you jump right back in.
Yeah.
It can get kind of difficult. Oh, hey there. You come here often? I feel like I see you every Wednesday. And, you definitely caught my eye. I'll tell you one thing. You know how to stand out from a crowd. You already got a lot of great things going for you. I mean, I see your company. I see what you got going on. I want to be part of it. How about I give you my number and you send me a text? 720-796-4935. Hey, yeah, it's Nick, right? PeakLeads.io. I think we can help you generate some commercial roofing leads. Looking forward to chatting. Talk soon. Well, man, you ready for this game?
Let's do the game, man.
All right, so let's see what we got here. So I got to tell you something that you're not going to be super happy of. Your best bud, David Estes, man, he's a cheater. He was looking at the questions ahead of time. So now I got to. She's got some good one. Thanks.
Was this like rapid fire hot seat style or what? What do we got going?
You're about to find out, man.
Okay.
All right. So basically, also, hey, one thing I stole from us is I still end with enlightenment. So you're still gonna have to end me with a golden nugget. So,
all right.
The game is who wants to be a roofing millionaire, but it's not about roofing, right?
Okay.
It's about things about the roofer. Things the roofer likes.
Okay.
That's what the trivia is.
All right.
All right. So you get 2 lifelines. First one is 50-50. Removing 2 of the wrong answers, giving you a 50% chance of getting the answer correct.
Okay.
All right. Second one is phone a friend. Now, if you call and they don't pick up, you lose the lifeline.
Okay.
Sound good?
All right.
All right. So, can't let you cheat over here.
I can't see.
All right. Obviously, one of the things that we connected about is both big Packer fans.
Okay.
All right. Both love the Packers.
Yeah.
Which is the street name of Lambeau Field? Is it A, Lombardi Ave, B, Lambeau Way, C, Favre Street, or D, Acme Avenue?
I want to say A.
Is A your final answer?
Lombardi Ave.
Lombardi Ave?
I believe so, yeah.
That is correct. Off to a hot
Let's go, baby.
start. Let's go. Lombardi Ave. Speaking of Lombardi, the Packers bring home the trophy. They got 3 really good corners. The defense is looking loaded. What do you think?
If the offense if the receivers can show up, man, Romeo Dubs, I don't know. We'll see.
So that's the name. That's the
guy.
name. I was thinking
Watch,
about getting the
attention.
jersey. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's practice.
There's always somebody
night.
they bring up receivers better than any other franchise. So let's see.
And Christian Watson actually had his first day at camp today, so he had a little injury and he's getting back. So we got some young talent there. We have a running game. You got to remember, Aaron Jones was second in receptions last year. Maybe get him in the slot. Keep Aaron, AJ Dillon in the backfield.
See what they do, yeah.
Who's your guy you're looking at in fantasy this year? If you got the number one pick, who are you picking?
Oh, that's easy, Jonathan
Taylor
wins.
all day.
Yeah,
easy pick, completely agree. That's something.
I got him in the second round last year in a big league and won the league, and I don't even know how that even happened. But now he's a number one overall pick in every consensus. But they don't care about fantasy football. Let's do this thing.
No, trust me, they do. Trust me, that's part of it.
Let's do this.
See, that's the difference now. Is not only are we talking about educational content, but roofers all like similar stuff. You know what I mean? So we're kind of mixing the entertainment and education. All right. So wild card car question: which Ferraris featured in the 1986 film Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Okay.
Is it A, Testarossa, B, was it 458 Special, C, Spider, or D, Boxer?
Go to 50-50. It's either the Spider or the Boxer.
All right. Well, you have the 50-50, and it leaves you with the A, Testarossa, and C, Spider.
Spider.
Boom. 2 for 2. So you got a thing for cars, eh?
I like cars.
So you got the big truck. So what kind of truck you got?
AT4.
And then you got the Camaro. Mm-hmm. What kind of Camaro you got?
Z01.
Z01. And then you also have the baby? Who's the hot stuff? The Acura, right?
Acura.
Yeah, the Acura.
NSX. Yeah.
Which one's your favorite?
They're all my favorite.
They're all your favorite.
The NSX is just an incredible machine, man.
Well, you took that out to the mountains this weekend, didn't you?
It's an incredible machine.
And
you
actually do the track, don't you? With
we race. We drive it. We drive the car.
Oh yeah.
It's not just trophy. It's a drive. I love to drive. I love cars. Like, it doesn't matter, what.
You like going fast.
I just love go fast.
Fast and Furious. Are you fast and furious?
I like to go fast.
I'm Randy Brothers. I'm fast and furious. You heard it here first. I love it. All right, you're a big snowboarder, right?
Yep.
And you said roofers, especially in sales, they get in roofing so that way they can snowboard in the winter time, right? Then they can work all summer.
Okay.
Which Colorado ski resort is the highest elevation? Is it A, Silverton Mountain, B, A Basin, C, Loveland, or D, Telluride?
I want to go A Basin.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
That is incorrect. Silverton Mountain.
Silverton
Mountain is the highest elevation. What slopes are you usually hitting?
I'm usually in Summit County. I'm on
Summit
Keystone,
County.
Bragg, Copper, those areas.
All right, we're going golf. Golf.
Right.
We know you're out on the golf course quite a bit on the weekends, right? So we got some golf trivia. How many master tournaments have there been so far? Right, so we're talking Augusta. Is it A, 55, B, 72, C, 104, or D, 86?
I want to say 104. I believe they just celebrated the 100th year of the Masters, so let's go 104.
Unfortunately, that's incorrect again, Randy. You're off to a hard side, and then he started talking trash, saying that people don't want to hear the answers, and now he's getting. Yeah. Now they just wanted to see you get the answers wrong. So the answer is D, 86.
86.
All right.
Okay.
So now we got a question you better not get wrong. All right, because your life's on the line here now. Okay. Right. This one is the first question. It's only two potential answers. All right. Okay. And remember, if you need to, you can phone a friend. But as a Colorado native, right, there's lots to do in the great outdoors here. So we got a little bear test. You should play dead when this type of bear is attacking you. Is it A, black bear, or B, grizzly bear?
Well, first off, you don't find grizzly bears that much in Colorado.
hey, there's still bears here. So you never know. And if there is one, you better know this answer. Have you ever been to Montana, anything like that? You don't get out much or what?
It's tough. I feel like the black bear, you got to like get really big and make a lot of noise.
So you get big.
And the grizzly bear is way bigger. So the grizzly bear, you got to play dead.
Okay, so you're playing dead the grizzly?
Yeah.
That's correct. Nice work, my friend.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'll take it.
What a great guest. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's been a pleasure, Randy. But as always, right? Let's end it with your golden nugget over here. What you got to leave the viewers with?
I just want to recap the balance thing, guys. I mean, you got to find time to think. Mm-hmm. Take time for yourself. Take time to just analyze your life. Think about where you are, appreciate where you are before you're so focused on what's next, right?
Yeah.
So the takeaway is be where your boots are.
Be present. Go get it. Enjoy the ride. Thank you, everybody.
God bless. Take care.